So we should have the annotations from the character, the wife of Bath. This is from the prologue to the Canterbury Tales when Chaucer describes the wife of Bath. So the main things you need to remember about her as we go into her telling her story on the trip to Canterbury. Remember, he's going to describe all 29 characters. That's what we've been reading for the nun, the monk, the friar, the knight, the squire, all of them. This is Chaucer describing these characters. And now they're finally going to go on their trip, their long journey, their pilgrimage to Canterbury. And the wife of Bath is going to tell us her tale. This is her, and she's going to tell us a story that she makes up on this trip to pass time. So the main things that we need to remember about the wife of Bath, she's called the wife of Bath because she's from Bath City. She is somewhat deaf. She likes wearing red pantyhose and tights. She's really pretty. She's been married 5 times. She's explored and traveled a lot, which means she got money. She's independent. She wears high heels. She's really shapely. She had a big booty, and she loves giving out relationship advice, even though she's been married 5 times. So that's crazy. If you do not have these annotations yet, grab these right now. She's from Bath City. Right here, her hose were of the finest scarlet red, which means she wears red pantyhose or red tights. Red means love. Red is pretty. Red is sexy. Red is bold. Right here it says, bold was her face, handsome and red in hue, a worthy woman all her life. What's more, she'd had 5 husbands, all at the church door. So she's been married 5 times. Highlight all the places she's been, Jerusalem, Rome, St. James, like all of these places. I mean, she's been around a block. To travel, you have to have money, and you got to be independent. Like, you don't care what your man says. You're going to go on your little trips and live your best life. And then down here, large hips, her heels. She liked to laugh and chat, which means she likes attention. She over here smiling in everybody's faces. And then it says, and she knew the remedies for love's mischances, so she likes to give out relationship advice. Let's go ahead and flip it. Here is the wife of Bath. Ain't she cute? Ain't she pretty? So remember, she's on the trip to Canterbury, riding this horse to go and see Canterbury with Chaucer and all 29 of these people. I don't know why my brain is not working. It's early in the morning. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right. So she is telling her story. We're going to read the first half today and then half tomorrow. The Wife of Bath's Tale. When good King Arthur ruled in ancient days, a king that every Briton loves to praise, there was a land brimful of fairy folk. I'm going to highlight this. There was a land brim of fairy folk. The elf queen and her courtiers joined and broke their elven dance on many green mead, or so was the opinion once, I read, hundreds of years ago, in days of yore, but no one now sees fairy anymore. So there used to be fairies, or so she claims. Let me back this up just a little bit. There used to be fairies. I want that stuff focused. I'm going to take it away and put it back. Okay. So there once was fairies. F-A-I-R-E-S. But now they're gone. They are gone. So there was fairies in England once upon a time. For now, the saintly charity and prayer of holy friars seemed to purge the air. You see that? There used to be fairies anymore, but now the saintly charity and prayer of holy friars seem to have purged the air. They searched the countryside through field and stream as thick as motes that speckle sunbeam, blessing the halls, the chambers, the kitchen, the bowers, cities and boroughs, castles, courts and towers, thorps and barns and stables and outhouses and dairies. And that's the reason there are no more fairies. Wherever there was wont to walk an elf, today there walks the holy friar himself. As evening falls or when the daylight springs, saying his matins and his holy things, we highlight in all of this, we'll talk about in a second, walking his limit from town to town, women can now go safely up and down by every bush or under every tree. There is no other incubus but he. So there is really no one else to hurt you, and he will do no more than take your virtue. Ooh, she's being messy. So if we're thinking about all that she is saying hundreds of years ago, there used to be fairies here in our lands, but holy friars seem to purge the air. Y'all know the friar because Chaucer just described him to us. And remember, when Chaucer described the friar, where is it at? Wrong packet. When Chaucer described the friar, boom, look, he was sleeping with young women, claiming he was going to be a marriage counselor and help them, but actually ended up sleeping with them. He was intimate with people. He lied and said he could hear confessions and that he had a special license from the Pope, but he did not. He used to give pocket knives to pretty girls. He knew all the bars and taverns. So she is throwing shade at the friar because she knows that he's no good. So in her story, the friar riding behind her, the friar, the monk, I can't talk, the monk, the nun, they're all on this trip with her. And she decides to start her story by saying there's no more fairies because there's this friar who purged the air. There's this bad friar, and that he was all up and down the town and messing with women. And she says, well, the friar is gone, so now the women are safe. He's not going to hurt you guys anymore. So she's calling him out and blaming the friar for there being no more fairies, because fairies are light and magical, and like little girls love the idea of fairies and butterflies, right? So she's saying that all the fairies disappeared because the creepy friar was all up in the mix. So she's calling him out for being creepy, right? And then look over here. You see how it says, and he will do no more, take your virtue. Oh, there is no other incubus but he. I'm going to circle incubus. Look over here. It says that it means an evil spirit believed to descend on women. So she's literally calling the friar an evil spirit. I'll put that over here. She's calling the friar an evil spirit. And this is all her doing it like a sneak diss, right? Sneak diss, because she's acting like, oh, I'm just telling a story. It's my turn to tell a story. But she's making sure that she's going to throw a little shade at the friar first. So a little sneak diss. So now she's going to continue with the rest of her story. Now it so happened, I begin to say, long, long ago, in good King Arthur's day, there was a knight who was a lusty liver. One day he came riding from the river. He saw a maiden walking all forlorn, ahead of him alone as she was born, and of that maiden, spite all she said, by very force took her maidenhead. So there was a maiden, that means a girl, and she was all alone. And there was this knight, right? This isn't our knight from the beginning description, as far as we know, right? So there's a girl walking all alone, and the knight came and took her maidenhead. Right here it says, in spite of the maiden's protest, he robbed her of her virginity. So the knight raped the virgin maiden, the virgin girl. It says, despite all she said, so she said, no, please don't do this. And by force, he took her maidenhead, and he did it anyways. Right? The story starts out dark. She's talking trash about the friar being a creepy, and now she's literally, boom, starting with rape. And back then, rape wasn't considered, I don't want to say as big of a deal as now, but it got dismissed a lot easier. So we're going to see what happens and how this unfolds based on the wife of Bath's tale. And remember, she's been married 5 times. She's bold. She lives her best life. She does what she wants. So she's like a very outspoken type of personality. This act of violence made such a stir, so much petitioning to the king for her, that he condemned the knight to lose his head by course of law. He was as good as dead. It seemed that the statues took the view, but that the queen and the other ladies too. Let's pause. The act of violence made such a stir, so people were mad, and the king said that the knight was going to lose his head by course of law. He was dead. So as a punishment, the knight was going to lose his head. Beheading. Kill the knight for raping the maiden. Let's turn the page. Boop. Here's the knight. This is the queen behind him. Let's come back to this line. But that the queen and other ladies too implored the king to exercise his grace. So ceaselessly he gave his case and granted her his life, so he could choose whether to show him mercy or refuse. So the queen implored, the queen begged that she wanted to decide what to do with him. So the queen wants to decide the knight's punishment. The queen returned him thanks with all her might. She told the king, thank you, and sent the summons to the knight at her convenience and expressed her will. You stand for such in the position still, in no way certain of your life, said she. Yet you shall live if you can answer me. So she said, you can live if you can answer me this question. What is the thing that women most desire? Beware the axe and say as I require. So if the knight can answer the question, what do women most desire? She said she'll spare his life. That's pretty fair, right? So the question, what do women most desire? That is the question. What do women most desire? If you can't answer on the moment, though, I will concede you this. You are to go a 12-month and a day to seek and learn sufficient answer, and then you shall return. I shall take the gages from you to extort surrender of your body to the court. So she said, if you can't answer me right now, if you can't answer the moment, if you don't know what women most desire, I will give you 12 months and a day to go find the sufficient answer and then come back and tell me what you said. So she's going to give him 12 months, 1 year, and 1 day to find the answer. So this is his new punishment. And if he comes back with the right answer and tells the queen what women most desire, then she won't kill him. Sad was the knight and sorrowfully sighed, but there all other choices were denied. First of all, why are you acting, the knight's sad and he sorrowfully sighed? Like, he acting like a baby. Like, she just literally said she's not going to kill you. And you're like, men. And in the end, he chose to go away and to return after a year and a day, armed with such an answer as there might be sent to him by God. He took his leave and went. So this little area says he said, okay. And he is going to find the answer. He thinks it's going to be sent to him by God. Thinks God will give him the answer. So he thinks God is on his side, despite him raping this maiden. He knocked at every house, searched at every place. Yes, everywhere he offered hope and grace. What could it be that women wanted most? But all the same, he never touched a coast, a country, or a town in which there seemed to be any two people who seemed to agree. So he's on his trip, but nobody is agreeing. No two answers are the same. Can't get one solid answer. So some people saying this, some people saying that, and he's like, dog, I just need one answer for the queen. I can't give her all the answers. I need the one right answer, but everybody's like saying different things. Some said that women wanted, let's highlight as I'm reading the things that women want. Some said that women wanted wealth and treasure, Honor, said some, jollity and pleasure. Some said gorgeous clothes, and others fun in bed. To be oft enwidowed and remarried, said others again. And some said what mattered most was that we should be cosseted and flattered. The very near the truth, it seems to me, a man can win us best with flattery. To dance attendance on us and to make a fuss ensnares us all, the best and worst of us. They saying they want everything: money, treasure, honor, truth, happiness. Some down here said they want to be able to be remarried because the wife of Bath, she's been married 5 times, right? But back then, if your husband died, you usually just had to stay a widow and be single for the rest of your life. So they want kind of like freedom, right? To get remarried. So no one answer. They got all these things. They want to be flattered. They want their husbands to chase them, bring them flowers, spoil them. All these answers. Some say the things we most desire are these. Now here's some more things he got from the list. Freedom to do exactly as we please, with no one to reprove our faults and lies, rather than to have one call us good and wise. There's not a woman in 10 score who has a fault and someone rubs a sore, but she will kick if what she says is true. You will try it out and you will find so too. However vicious we may be within, we like to be thought of wise and void of sin. Others assert that women find it sweet when we are thought dependable, discreet, and secret from purpose and controlled, never betraying things that we are told. But that's not the worth of a handle of a rake. Would women conceal a thing for heaven's sake? Remember Midas? Will you hear the tale? So right here, she's saying they want freedom to do what they want, to not be like nagged, to not be called out if they're wrong. They don't want to argue. Like, they just want a peaceful life. Like, dang, y'all naggy husbands, we just want peace. And then down here, the wife of Bath is about to go into a side story now. And she says, we are down here at the bottom. I'm going to stack my papers back up. Among some other little things now stale, Ovid relates that under his long hair, the unhappy Midas grew a splendid pair of ass's ears. As subtly as he thought, he kept his foul deformity from sight. So right next to here, this is a side story. Okay? So she was telling us what the women are saying they desire. This is all stuff people are telling the night. Women want this, they want that. And now the wife of Bath is going into a side story in her main story. And she said that she is going to tell us a tale about Midas and highlight him right here. So there's a guy named Midas. He is a king, right? So Midas is a king. And he grew a pair of ass's ears. So he grew donkey ears, right? He grew donkey ears. And from these donkey ears, he kept his foul deformity from sight. So Midas hid these donkey ears from everybody. Because why? They look crazy. They're ugly. He has donkey ears. Of course, he's going to hide them. Okay? Flippity flip. We're getting close to our stopping point for the day. Yo, this Zoom is not... Oh! I need to refocus. I'm messing it up. Let me zoom out. I'm sorry. Let me zoom out. I'm crazy. And I think I have like a reset button up here. Oh, look how clear that thing got. Okay. Save for his wife, there was not one that knew. He loved her best and he trusted in her too. So who is the only person that knows Midas's secret about his ass ears? There's donkey ears. Y'all gonna report me for cursing. Only his wife knew. So his wife knows about his secret donkey ears. He begged her not to tell a living creature that he possessed so horrible a feature, and she swore all the world to win that she would do no such villainy and sin, and saddle her husband with no foul name. Besides, to speak it would be to share her shame. So he doesn't want her to tell anybody about this, and she promised that she wouldn't tell because one, it's a secret, and two, boy, I'm gonna be embarrassed too. It would she would have to share the shame. So she's like, ew, I don't want people to know you got them ass ears. No, I don't want anybody to know. So she's like low key embarrassed too. And I'm putting it's a secret. Okay. Nevertheless, she thought she would have died, keeping the secret bottled up inside. It seemed to swell her heart, and she no doubt thought it was on the point of bursting out. So she literally been trying to hold the secret. Y'all know how that be when you know a secret. Ding dong. And she can't keep it in. She feel like she is about to explode. She's like, oh my God, I gotta tell somebody. Fearing to speak it to woman or man, down to a reedy marsh quickly she ran. So she ran down to the marsh, and she reached the edge. Her heart was all on fire, and bitten bumbles to the mire. She whispered to the water near the ground, betray me not, O water, with thy sound. To thee alone I tell it. It appears my husband has a pair of ass's ears. So she goes down and tells the water. She's like, I gotta tell somebody. So she tells her reflection. She tells the water, my husband has a pair of ass's ears. Oh, my heart's well again. The secret is out. I could keep it in no longer. Not a doubt. So she tells the water. She don't tell a person. She just goes down to the marsh and she's like, I have to tell somebody. I have to say it, tells the water. And so you see, although we made hold fast a little while, it must come out at last. We can't keep secrets. As for Midas, well, read Ovid for his story. He will tell. So the wife of Bath's point of this story, she tells us right here. The whole point of this story was to tell us that women can't keep secrets. So the wife promised she wouldn't tell, ran down to the water, told, and then the wife of Bath is like, see, they can't keep secrets. We just can't. And that was the whole point of her little side story. Okay. This knight that I am telling you about, now she back to talking about the knight who raped the maiden. This knight that I am telling you about perceived at last he would never find out what it could be that women loved the best. Faint was the soul within his sorrowful breast. As home he went, he dared no longer to stay. His year was up, and so was the day. Dun, dun, dun. The knight hadn't found the answer. 12 months and a day done went by. Time was up, sucker. And he couldn't figure out what women most desire. There was too many answers. And he was like, shh, I'm about to die. I am about to die. As he rode home in a dejected mood, the poor knight, he sighed. Suddenly, at the margin of a wood, he saw a dance upon the leafy floor of 24 ladies, nay, and more. Eagerly he approached and hoped to learn some word of wisdom ere he should return. But lo, before he came to where they were, dancers and dance all vanished into the air. All of this, boop. So he's walking home sad, and he sees 24 ladies dancing in the woods. Sees 24 ladies dancing. But when he gets close, boom, they vanish into thin air. They disappear. There wasn't a living creature to be seen, save one old woman crouched upon the green. A fouler looking creature, I suppose. So all them 24 ladies disappeared, except one. An old foul lady. So she ugly. Old foul lady. She old and she ugly. Flip. She arose and said,
Sir Knight, there's no way on from here. Tell me what you are looking for, my dear, for peradventure there were best for you. We old women know a thing or two.
So this old lady asked the knight, what you need? What you need, dog? Why are you here? Old lady asked him that. Dear mother, said the knight, alack the day! I am as good as dead if I can't say what the thing is that women most desire. If you could tell me, I would pay you your hire. So he says, I need to know the answer to what women most desire, and he will pay her for the answer. So he'll give her money. And the old woman says,
Give me your hand, she said, and swear to do whatever I shall next require of you, if so to do should lie within your might, and you shall know the answer before night.
She says, make me a deal. Let's make a deal. If I give you the right answer, promise me you will do whatever I say. Promise you'll do whatever I say. We don't know what she wants, but she says, I don't want your money. I want you to make me a deal. And the knight says, upon my honor, he answered, I agree.
Then, said the crone, I dare to guarantee your life is safe. I shall make good my claim. Upon your life the queen will say the same. Show me the very proudest of them all, in costly overchief or jeweled call, that dare say no to what I have to teach. Let us go forward without further speech.
So she said, in this box, I promise you, your life is safe. She said, I got you. I know the answer, and the queen is going to agree. I got you, and you are safe. She says, the queen going to love this answer. We good. And then she says, let's go forward without further speech. So they're going to walk all the way back to the kingdom. He is going to take her to go see the queen. And then she crooned his gospel in his ear and told him to be glad and not to fear. They came to court. This knight, in full array, stood forth and said, O queen, I've kept my day, and I kept my word, and I have the answer ready. So now they are back at the castle. This is my castle. Okay, they're back at the castle. He says, I have my answer ready. He thinks he is about to have his life saved. There sat noble matrons and the heady young girls and widows too, that gave the grace of wisdom, all assembled in that place. And then the queen herself was thrown to hear and judge his answer. Then the knight drew near, and silence was commanded through the hall. So there's all the women gathered to hear his answer, to see if he got the right one or not. And he is about to speak. The queen gave order he should tell them all what the thing it was that women wanted most. He stood not silent like a beast or post, but gave his answer with the ringing word of a man's voice. The assembly he heard. I am going to pause this and see if I am going too far, because your classwork only goes but so far. I gotta make sure I'm not yapping ahead, because I feel like we get into the stopping point. Wife of Bath part 1 classwork. Where the part 1? All right, let's see if this is stopping time. The last question on here is lines 158. And does the old women know the crime? Oh, 245. All right, we got like a half a page after this to go, and then we're stopping around line 245. So the knight's about to give his answer, and he says, my liege, my lady in general, said he, a woman wants the self-same sovereignty over her husband as over her lover, and master him. He may not be above her. We gotta highlight this. This is what he says the answer is. Look at the side note: sovereignty, power to rule. So women want power over their husband. She does not want to be bossed around. She doesn't want the husband having the power. So that is his answer. Line 245 is down here. We'll finish at this end of the page. Okay. That is your greatest wish. Whether you kill or spare me, please yourself. I will wait your will. So he says, all right, am I right or am I not? If I'm wrong, you can kill me. In all the court, not one that shook her head or contradicted what the knight had said. Maid, wife, and widow cried, he'd saved his life. So they said he's right. They agree. The knight is right. He has saved his life. This man is about to get away with rape and not be killed because he got the right answer. On the word, up started the old wife, the one the knight saw sitting on the green, and cried. So the old wife, that old lady, is about to speak up because she gave that answer to the knight, but nobody knows yet. And she says, your mercy, sovereign lady queen, before the court disperses, do me right. 'Twas I who taught this answer to the knight, for which he swore and pledged his honor to it, that the first thing I asked him for, he'd do it. So she said, I gave the knight the answer, and he promised me he would do what I said. So now she's telling the queen, I gave him that answer, and we got a deal. He got to do what I said. And she tells him about the deal, calling this man out. So far as it should lie within his might, before the court I ask you then, Sir Knight, to keep your word and take me for your wife. For well you know that I have saved your life. If this be false, deny it on your sword. So she said, the knight has to marry me, is what she wants for her deal. That's what the old lady wants. And I'm just like, that's crazy because he raped somebody. She helped him by giving him the right answer, and now she wants him to marry her even though he's a rapist. But I don't know if he knows. Does he know? I don't know. It didn't say he knows. Didn't say he doesn't know. And the knight says, alas, he said, old lady, by the Lord, I know indeed that such was my behest, but for the love of God, think of a new request. He says, girl, ew, think of something else. I don't want to do that. He don't want to marry his little boo. He says, take all my goods, but leave my body free. Highlight this. Take all my goods, but leave my body free. How is this ironic that he is saying leave my body free, but he was accused of rape? Not accused of rape. He did rape the maiden, right? But he's like, leave my body free. I don't want to give my body to you, ugly, haggy, wifey boo, right? So, yeah. A curse on us, she said. If I agree, I may be foul, I may be poor, I may be old, yet will not choose to be for all of the gold that's bedded in earth or lies above, less than your wife, nay, your very love. She says, I might be old, I might be ugly, I might be foul, I might be poor, but I just want your love. We are going to be in love. Love is better than everything. I want love. Oh, well, if I'm ugly and poor. My love, he said, by heaven, my damnation. Alas, that any of my race and station should ever make a foul misalliance. Yet in the end of his pleading and defiance, all went for nothing. He was forced to wed. He takes his ancient wife and goes to bed. So he says, ew, somebody of my race and my station, me,
A knight marry you, you old crinkly hag? Me marry you? He's tripping. He's like, ew. But alas, he was forced to wed, and he takes his ancient wife and goes to bed. So he got to marry her because the queen, remember the knight or the old lady calls him out in front of the queen, and he is forced to marry her and take her to bed. That's them in bed. And we're going to stop right there. We're going to stop right there. So tomorrow we will pick up on line 249. And that is where we will stop. The old lady gave him the right answer. She decided she wants to marry him. And indeed, he is forced to take her to bed.